Phil Dahl, my boss, the curator at the time, was struck by the beauty of the boat. We knew it was an old thing. We had the sense that it was special. We knew it was built by this guy named Pasquinucci, who we knew very little about. But so we took it in the collection. It was needed some work. We brought it in the shop once for a quick shave and a haircut, and then we took it up, gun calling a couple of times, and had it at the end of the pier. And one day, a gentleman came in to the shop, hair all messed up in sailing clothing, and said, "Hey, I was just sailing by the shop here at the end of the pier, Aquatic Park, and I saw this boat you have at the end, and it looks a lot like the one that my father had built when I was a little kid and I grew up on. We sailed the Delta. It's got a different name, it looks a little weird, but I swear it's the same one." And so he came by with historic photographs not much later, and we realized that it was the same one that they had lost track of. They moved on to a bigger boat 10 years later. It's the Batchelder family. And that's one story that we were like, oh my gosh, in the photographs, suddenly we had these images of it in its earliest days. It had changed a lot. And that really inspired us to put it in the shop. And then once we put it in the shop, we had this map of where to restore the boat to, and a connection to a local family, very local family. The Batchelders, Batchelder was a young engineer at, I think, Bechtel at first, and then eventually Chevron. Just a very local family story. So we're very attracted to it. We had this, really a gold mine for historic preservationists. Photographs from launching day, photographs from earliest days on the Delta, photographs from its use in the days gone by in the 40s. And so we thought this is worth some restoration work. We put it in the shop. About 2 years into it, it's looking like a bigger and bigger project. The little bit of rot on the side of the cabin ended up being a little bit of rot in the deck, and the little bit of rust in the bilge was a lot of rust in the bilge. So we knew we were in deep. But then a woman, we got a phone call from a young lady who is here tonight as well, who is the great-granddaughter of the builder, Minotti Pasquinucci. Stacy Ryerson, who's here tonight. And you can imagine our excitement. We just said, yeah, I've got a few photographs you might be interested in, and maybe a couple other things. She came by in this truckload, in the back of which was Minotti's tool case that he brought over from Italy when he came, his tools and photographs and full history. She's a historian. She's done a lot of historical work. So suddenly this very local moment in San Francisco Bay history that this boat represents. Two families of a master boat builder, one of the great boat builders of the Bay Area, very lovely man that we're learning about, meeting up with this really special family, and this whole story that just is almost like a time capsule. So to have the project in the shop sort of open up like this is unbelievable. And that's what tonight's a lot about. We wanted to share the artifacts coming from both families and the photographs and really celebrate. The launch is going to be great. We're going to throw it in the water, and we hope you all come for that. But we really wanted to celebrate the special story. And and the Batchelders, will you guys just come up for a moment? This is Jim. Here's the guy who started it. He's the one who saw the boat. You're going to have to introduce him. You want to say a couple words? Introduce your family.
I'm the middle of five.
You have to speak right next to the microphone and very loud.
I'm the middle of five, so all five siblings are here tonight. George on the end is the oldest. Number two, my brother Paul. I'm number three. My mother said that I was in a blanket, and Minotti was not very happy. He said it was bad luck to have a baby on the boat or something. That's me. And she also told a funny story that she was a total wimp. She could not break the bottle, and Minotti was upset. Someone else had to break the champagne. Then my sister Ann.
My wife.
Youngest of the 5, Brother John. So we're all a pretty remarkable story. We have a lot of memories of that boat, and you've done just a magnificent job of restoration.
Well, thanks. And, you know, the photographs, we've been hounding these guys since the beginning of the project, and especially leading up to this. Do you have another photograph? What about Eva B? Like, he got a call about once or twice a week. Can you dig up anything else? So a lot of this case over here, their grandfather, John, who helped Menotti build the boat, built the cabin in the interior, who is also a great craftsman. We're celebrating him with some of the original tackle boxes and duck decoys that they used. And so sounds like a wonderful pair of father and grandfather. Just seem like remarkable gentlemen, and it's clear. And we please talk to them and pick their mind for pick their brains for good stories. And
We've got
and
them.
of course, we're gonna have. You're gonna be doing the Anne's gonna be doing the.
She'll break the bottle. She's done it many times.
The batting cages everywhere.
That's good. Yeah, perhaps we can correct the old problem. Exactly, the bachelor take care. I also want to ask Stacy Ryerson, the granddaughter of Menotti, to come down, who is also really largely responsible for the joy of this project. Stacy, really, there's a few tears in my eyes, and she revealed some of the treasures. For us, a lot of the guys who've been involved in the project, to feel a connection to one of the early boat builders in the way that you've made it possible with the artifacts, the tool stamps. We've had a lot of very intimate connection to him, just tearing things apart, seeing the way he nailed things together, and you just fleshed the whole story out for us. And I will be forever thinking of that great gift you gave us. So, would you like to say a few words to the folks?
You know, it's really interesting to grow up in this town of Sausalito. It's a very small community, and back in those days, it was a very, very different community than it is today. And as little girls, we grew up on that bay. We were fishing. We were always down at that boat shop. By the way, I don't know how many of you know this. That boat shop burned to the ground twice. Twice. You can't have that much paint, that much thinner, that many rags, and that many smoking men. And there were many times when we would all of a sudden hear fire, you know, and they would race down and it would go to the ground, and they rebuilt it. They rebuilt it. And it was what it was. But it was a wonderful life. And we always felt, you know, my grandfather had a daughter who had 3 daughters. And it just breaks my heart that they couldn't see the possibility of why that business would be kept in the family, because what would girls do in a boat shop? And you know, it was very hard. It was sold, the business was sold in the 70s, and us 3 granddaughters really were very, very sad. My grandfather's boat was the Stacy Ann, and when he died, it was gifted to the Sea Scouts, and the last I heard, it's somewhere on the coast up north, and I don't know where it is. I would dearly love to find that old boat, because apparently it is still floating somewhere.
Wow, we got some people here.
So it was a great life. They were great people. My grandfather was awesome. Unfortunately, my great-grandfather died, I think, right before I was born, and which gives away my age. But you know, I think it's just, I'm sad that they aren't here. I'm sad that my mother isn't here to see this. This is wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. I also wanted to really take the time this evening to thank some of the people that have really made this project happen. This is a wonderful place to work. And starting with some of our, these are my volunteers. This is really a volunteer project. And And I wish I could go through every single one of them because they're remarkable.
How about they all?
I'm going to stand up.
How about they all put their hands up? All the
Or
volunteers.
just kind of come up here.
There we go.
Darwin, Harold, I could go on and on, but it's been an amazing thing. I think Bill Dahl, who's over here, Bill, raise your hand, who's my boss, and he's really been a huge support in the shop for getting things done and building this team and finding money creatively nowadays. Really, this project couldn't happen without his creativity.
John, are you speaking to volunteers?